Thank you to everyone for joining us today. This is our web design speaker event hosted by Walnut's Web Design Club, as well as robotics team Voltech. And we have invited two speakers with us today to talk about their experience with web designing in like the professional world. So our first speaker is Mr. Sam. He's a software developer manager at Red Door Interactive, and Mr. Noel, who is a senior software developer at Shia Home. And we will be able to learn from them a bit more of what web design is in the professional setting later on in this presentation. I'm gonna go over our agenda real quick. The first section will just be like a overall purpose of our event, why we have decided to host this event today. Our second topic will be introducing web design and Voltech. So those are the two clubs that will be hosting this event today, and they will just briefly go over what they do. For the third section, we will have Mr. Sam, who will do his presentation, our first speaker, and then for the fourth portion, Mr. Noel will go over his presentation, and then we will have a Q&A. For the fifth section, we will have some students from our web design club, and they will present and they will present their websites that they have worked on throughout this year so far, and then we will have a closing at the section 6. So just a quick purpose of why we are hosting this event today. This event allows students like us who are beginning to learn like web design and like development, get some experience or learn from professional people working in the industry. And this just gives us a bit of like an insight or some information that we might want to know about how web design is used in practice.
All right, and now some introductions. Since most of you guys already know what Web Design Club is, I'm just gonna go over it really quickly. So throughout this year, we've been teaching people in Suzanne Middle School all about intricacies of web design and all of that. And we started with WordPress, which is kind of like a blog kind of style of coding websites. And then we moved on to HTML and CSS, which is the current point we're at right now. And then we also made YouTube videos such as these to make sure everyone's engaged, and then the people who provide resources to people who can't attend meetings. So yeah, that's what we've been doing for these past few weeks and months. And I will be bringing it over to Voltech, who has more to talk about regarding introductions, since we haven't really known them for a long time here.
So Voltech is a robotics team that is kind of based in Walnut High School, and this is our third year competing for First Tech Challenge, and we have 11 members, and we've gone to 3 SoCal championships so far, or at least qualified for them. Now, the reason why Voltech is helping out in this event today is because a big part of our team is not only building a great robot, but also helping our community learn more about STEM and more about how they can use STEM in their daily life. So we've done a few other classes that you guys may have been to, such as our Arduino class or some programming classes in the past few years. And this time around, we decided to do the web design speaker event with Web Design Club.
All right, and now we're going to be passing it over to Mr. O with Red Door Interactive to talk about his experiences. I'll be stopping my share.
Cool. All right, let me take over here. Get the right screen share. All right, let me know if you guys see my screen, just confirm that.
Yep.
All right.
That's great.
So my name is Mr. Sam Oganessian. Feel free to call me Mr. Sam. I will go through quick introduction of myself, where I came from, maybe some of my motivations and why am I in the industry that I am. And I will jump into what I think is important about web development, software engineering as a whole thing. So feel free, as you're listening, feel free to throw in questions into the chat. That way we don't forget them, and hopefully John and somebody will help me keep track of that. and we'll be able to answer it together. So if I can't answer it, maybe Mr. Noel can, or I will have to get back to you. Perfectly fine, right? So don't be afraid of asking questions. I know part of Zoom, it's all about being on mute and kind of being in a meeting, kind of listening, not really actively participating, but I want to make sure you guys get guys and the ladies get important questions answered to help you guide your way. So I know there's plenty of YouTube's videos out there. There's plenty of influencers, plenty of information, but at least it's always good to have somebody with experience. And I do have a lot of resources in my team who can help you get that specific answer if I can't answer it myself. Okay, so I'll jump into it. All right, who am I? Some guy was asked to do a presentation here by Mr. Noel. We've been
Thank you.
working for many years together. Oh, this is my screen. You guys can still see my screen share, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I am a he, him pronouns. I am married. I have two little clones. I have both girls, 9 and 12. I speak Russian as my first language. Obviously, I speak English as well. I was born in some country called Azerbaijan overseas. I'm Armenian by ethnicity, if you care about that kind of stuff. And that's totally not complicated origin story, and I can go into more details if you really want it. I'm currently 2C years old. Let's see if you guys know what hex code is in your training. And I have been in the software engineering field professionally, the years that count, for about 25 years and counting. Not tired yet, for sure. My first programming experience was around, if I remember correctly, it was around 12. I was 12. It was very basic computer programming to just draw shapes on the screen there, very basic stuff. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn and ask me questions in the future, my link is there, and then I'll also follow up with an email to your hosts if you guys are interested in getting the details from these slides. So feel free to focus on questions and don't worry about taking notes. I'll circulate the content if you find it interesting. All right, my hobbies, just really quick. My family is my hobby. It's the priority for me besides work. Is, there's very little time, so I prioritize my family above all. I try to get outside time as well. That's important to me, especially as we age. We have to get outside. That's a big deal for me. And obviously TV, video games, and a little bit of paper crafts and some drawing. Gotta keep it, changing it up here and there. Hopefully you're finding some time to get outside, get away from the computer, because that's important too. How did I get here? My education's kind of weird. I kind of skipped the first part because I have traveled through many different countries and different studies and all that. But the stuff that counts, the stuff that you get a certificate for or a degree, City Mesa Community College. I am local to San Diego, just in case you guys wondering where I'm at. I'm in San Diego, California, not too far, hopefully, from where you are. I transferred from City College to UCSD, part of the UC California systems, earned my Bachelor of Computer Science. It was a tough fight. And then made additional some certifications, going to night school later on as I was working to try to make sure I'm staying current and staying engaged with what's out there as our discipline changes in terms of software development. My work history, my official job as a software developer was around 1999. I was an intern at the time as I was going to UCSD and also working part-time. Became software engineer level 1. If that's still a thing, engineer 1, 2, and 3 kind of progression around 2004. Then got an opportunity to manage and lead a team around 2008, and I've been a software manager ever since. And lots of different teams, different team members, and different focus in terms of products that we work on. That's what the challenge is, and growing with the team as well. So that's my short work history. My experience in terms of specific languages, I am a backend developer by trade. C++ was one of my first languages that I've officially developed any kind of products that people used. But there are plenty of other languages that I worked on. Basic, Pascal. Think Pascal. There's a bunch of languages that you probably don't know or see anymore. The main languages out there, there's plenty of languages, and they evolve and come and go as the environment needs them. So backend developer is where I came from. I worked on hardware as well in terms of, for example, some of the headphones you guys are using. Those are kind of products that I have also worked on, and there's software running in those. Don't forget there's software in everything, whether it's called firmware, software, big or small, all of that, what you do and what you decided to focus on with this club is very important, and it's going to be more and more important as part of our future. So progressing through web development and database, just HTML, JavaScript, some of those basics, self-taught, so classes, again, like my classes, to try to keep up and deliver these products that the users are still using actually out there with some of their products. And the biggest thing that I've bolded here is software quality assurance. It's one of those things that came into my career kind of later in the game. There wasn't as important in the beginning. At least it wasn't perceived as important, but I'll touch on this more later because it is critical to what you guys are going to be working on. Little plug here for where I work right now is Red Door Interactive. It's also local to San Diego. We've been here since 2002. I've been with the company for almost 6 years now, and we are an independent digital marketing agency. What does that mean? Well, in terms of these businesses that you buy products from, or your parents buy products from, those businesses need to reach their customers, reach the people that buy their products, and hopefully improves their life. Our company is an agency that helps those other businesses to reach those users and reach those customers. So one of the most important things on this list of services that we offer is web development and technology. Everything else around it stands on top of that platform that we build. There, you don't have a web presence on the internet, you don't exist. So that's one of the most important things right now, as we're obviously are in a digital world. It's not just a sign on a bus stop. You have to be present on the internet and be easily reachable by your customers and hopefully future customers too. Currently, I am a software engineering manager. That's my title. What does that mean? Well, I'm not a manager. I'm a lead. I lead my team through the challenges, the day-to-day, the projects, wherever the client needs us, whatever the challenges or the problems that the client wants us to solve, or new features that they want us to build. That's my job, is to make sure that I lead my team through the different phases of projects and products and deliver to our clients the best experience, best product as possible within the time and budget constraints. Of course, there's always some constraints that we need to work with. So I lead my software engineering team. I lead my quality assurance team. They both report to me, and they work together with other departments as well to make sure that we deliver and are successful with our clients. I support my individual team members. I give them guidance, and it's very specific to each team member because everybody is unique. You're not just a developer on my team. You're not just a resource. You are part of our team, and you have different experience. You have different opinions, different thoughts, different ways of doing things. That's my job, to make sure that we grow, that you grow, and as a team, we are succeeding, right? So if my individual team members are not successful, then as a team, we are not successful. So what I do is a lot of listening, a lot of unblocking, as I call it, right? Answering questions and finding solutions, some small, some big, lots of repeating, and lots of meetings. As a manager, as a team lead, I am in a lot of meetings, making sure things are moving along. I also work directly with our clients, with the clients who, whether they're with a business team or with their technical team, and we work together as partners to deliver on solutions. So that's very important, obviously, because if our clients are not happy with what we deliver to them, then as a company, we don't really exist. As a team, we don't exist. One of the most important things is continuous improvement. You may hear this as you grow through your career. That's a very big deal as part of your growth. It's not all about how many languages you know and how good of a programmer you are. You must pay attention to improvement and things change really fast. New languages, improvements, evolutions, technology, all those things, and different problems change as well. Solution from 5 years ago might not make sense today, so you have to adapt. You cannot be an inflexible person. So I'll touch on that a little bit more. As I mentioned, staying on top of technology, best practices, you'll hear that a lot. Best practices is a very big deal. It's part of continuous improvement, and lots of planning, because we can't get things done unless we know what we need to do. Okay, so I'm gonna go fast, but drop those questions in the chat. Let me know if you want me to revisit some of these concepts or topics. I don't mind that at all. So here's the most important slide. And I realized that some of these things, there's a lot in these slides, and I realized that you guys probably will remember only part of it. So don't worry about that. I hope that you walk away from my slides and my conversation or my presentation with better understanding what the real world developer experience is. And there's the technical part, which is, again, languages, coding, and development, but there's also if you wanted to say, if there's technical skills, and then there's soft skills, hard and soft skills. You make sure that you're paying attention to the soft skills, right? So you're not just a web developer, you're a software engineer. You want to make sure that you are flexible for any problems that whoever's your client, whether it's your manager of your team, whether it's another client, maybe you're independent developer, maybe you're just in a web development club, and somebody gives you an assignment and says, hey, make me a website that sells I don't know, puppy toys or cat toys, if you're a cat person. You need to go through with them to make sure you deliver to them, right? So you can't say, sorry, I don't really know this language. You have to be flexible enough to say, I will learn this and I can deliver this for you. So that's what a software engineer is. It's a flexible person. It's not just a web developer. It's not just a Windows programmer. You're not just an Apple apps developer, right? You're a software engineer. You have that flexibility. So that's one of the most important things. Second most important thing is you're not a lone wolf. You might meet some people who are like super awesome programmers, developers. They can get things done super quick. They know all these languages and they like totally awesome. You know, they have, I don't know, whatever. They're awesome. But you need to make sure that you're not acting as a lone wolf. You are always part of a team. Even if you're only working by yourself on a project, you have a client. You're delivering this to somebody, and that person who you're delivering to, which we consider our stakeholder, the potential user or a sponsor of that project, you are on a team with them. So you never really work by yourself. So you cannot ignore communication and collaboration. You might be awesome technically and doing cool code and writing like awesome structures and object-oriented or PHP code and WordPress and all that stuff. But if you don't know how to communicate, if you don't know how to collaborate with somebody else, your skills will not be visible. You as a person and you as a team member will not be visible and will not be progressing. You're going to have really tough time. So don't ignore communication and collaboration with your team members, with your managers, with your clients, with your stakeholders. That third bullet there's a bunch of buzzwords: waterfall, agile. Maybe you've heard about them, maybe you haven't. There's a lot of fancy buzzwords. You'll hear a lot more of them in your next 10, 15 years. But remember that all these things are all about continuous improvement. Without continuous improvement, there's really no change, and all these things really mean nothing. The idea of agile right now is one of those, as it becomes a standard of software development, is about getting things not fast, but getting things done in manageable chunks. Okay, you can't, like for example, when you have a giant project assigned to you from a history class or something, right? Like, oh, tell me about this guy back in whatever 19th century who was really awesome at the time. And you're like, I don't know this guy. I don't know where to start. So that feels like a giant problem for you to solve. You have to break it down into small things And that's what Agile is all about. It's about breaking big problems into small things, manageable things, and you make a plan and you work through it. So continuous improvement is at the core of all of these fancy buzzwords that business will throw at you. So keep remembering that. Don't roll your eyes at the business like, oh, cool, we're going to do extreme programming. All right, what does that mean? Help me understand so I can deliver and we can be successful together. Number 4, documentation. It hurts, but you have to do it. Mr. Noel will confirm this too. Developers don't like to do documentation, but it's very important. And as a manager, I'm going to make you do it. It's important for me to make sure that what you deliver is understood by others, because again, you're not a lone wolf. You work on a team, and somebody else may have to fix the bugs, and you can't just create this crazy code that nobody really understands. You have to document it. Number 5 there is scoping and effort estimation. That's one of the hardest things to do, being able to understand what is that definition of done? How do you estimate this work? Because you don't just create code, you have to help project managers on your project to understand how long is it going to take? Is it worthwhile doing? Do we have the budget to get this done? So scoping and estimating, one of the hardest things to do. And especially if you don't have good communication and collaboration skills, it's going to be even harder. And you're always going to be struggling. You're always going to be behind schedule. So those are important things to consider. If you don't understand the definition of done, you don't know when you're done, then you cannot be successful in your task. So keep that in mind, okay? Next one, you're going to have late nights. Maybe some of you already have, and that's okay. Sometimes, as a developer, you probably have seen the movies. There's some dude sitting late at night behind a computer creating code and doing awesome things, and that's okay. And when I was, early in my career, I stayed up till like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was up getting things done, and the next day, things were hopefully working still, and it was okay. It was, it wasn't too bad. But if that's your normal, if that's something that you do every day, if you feel like you're under pressure all the time to get things done, you have to stay up late, something's wrong and you have to shake it up. Okay, it's time to change things up, time to ask questions like, hey, why am I up late getting things done? So I hope with this, you can consider, what is normal, what is not normal as you're going through your career. Planning. That's one of the big things. You'll hear me mention this a couple of times. Remember, big problems, break them down into smaller things, defining definition of done, what that is, so you can be successful as a software engineer. Okay. All right. Quality assurance. I mentioned that I was going to come back to this. This is an even more important slide. Do not ignore this. You will be an awesome developer. You will be getting things done. You'll be staying up late, whatever is for you and how you get things done, how you work. But you need to make sure that quality assurance is something you also pay attention to. Don't ignore the people on your team who test your features, right? They may not be testing your code, but they're testing the functionality. Those people are on your team. They're not working against you. And I've known many good developers who take kind of the wrong approach to this, where they think that the QA or quality assurance is something that they need to get through as fast as possible. And it turns into kind of a bad relationship with another team, but they are your friends. So keep that in mind. Quality assurance, quality control, it kind of sounds the same, and quality assurance sometimes is confused by a lot of people, especially on the business side. But just to be clear, quality assurance, the goal there is to prevent bugs, and quality control is the goal there is to find the bugs inside your code, or inside the product that you're delivering. So priority as a developer, if that's where you're going as a developer, your goal is to prevent the bugs from coming into the system. And that's a lot of work, and it's everyone's responsibility. And we have a lot of process in place to make sure that stays high quality. And if you're in quality control, which is perfectly fine as well, you're a software quality control tester. You want to be a software test engineer, that's perfectly fine. Your goal is to create systems to to find defects that are already in the system and work with the development team to help them prevent bugs from coming in. So it's not, you're not working by yourself. You're always working as part of a team. Okay. All right, I think I'm almost at the end of my slides here. My advice for new software engineers, which is you and your friends, is to make sure you prioritize your physical and mental health. Do not ignore it. Yes, going outside, your parents probably tell you, hey, you need to go outside, you spend too much time in front of TV, or hey, you're on whatever the social channel for too long, or your tablet or your phone. Keep that in mind. There's a reason for that. Don't ignore your physical and mental health. It's really easy to just focus on the development and software, and as you grow in your career, like I mentioned, late nights and a lot of pressure to get things done. So keep in mind, if you're ignoring your body and your mental health, it's just going to be difficult, and you're going to look back and worry about it later. In terms of the actual development recommendations here, try not to do things, try not to reinvent the wheel, right? There's always something out there that already exists that you can reuse. Your goal is to use those build components, frameworks, whether they're front-end frameworks or back-end frameworks. There's many of them. If you do a quick Google search, you'll probably find a more updated list than I can give you. There's pros and cons to each one, and you just have to explore them. You have to plug them in, see what people are recommending, what they have used, what's out there, what's useful, what's easy to learn, or maybe what has cool features. Plug it in and just start using it. But try not to reinvent the wheel. If you feel like you need to make something custom, you need to make sure that you confirm that there's nothing else out there that you can reuse to develop to quickly get to that solution. Make sure you're creating code that's easy to understand. Document your code, right? As I mentioned, documenting hurts, but there's many levels. Commenting your code is important. Always leave behind some information for yourself or for others who may come behind you, looking through your code, trying to understand what you did, and trying to learn from what you have done. Learning new ways of doing, right? Make sure you're using that continuous improvement and learning, especially where you are right now. I'm sure that's probably redundant because you're always learning something new, but it never really stops. So just a heads up there, always learn, don't stand still. I mentioned quality assurance. They're your friends. Don't ignore them. And it's also your responsibility. Don't forget QA, wear that badge proudly. Don't forget, when you're creating these products, finishing these projects, who are you creating this for, right? Who's your user? Who fights for the user? Don't forget why you're doing this. Don't just create fancy code and then your user experience is not all that great. So remember who's going to be using your product, or just give it to your sibling. Like, hey, I made this cool thing. I think it's cool. Can you try to use it and tell me what you think? Hey, mom, dad, whoever, guardian, take a look, try to use my product. Let's see, give me some thoughts, give me some feedback on this. Always be open to that feedback. AI, right? Artificial intelligence. It's a very big thing. It blew up really quick in terms of how it can be used, how useful it is, or maybe how scary it is for some people. It's going to continue evolving, and I would recommend not ignoring it and just looking at how other people are using it. How does developer-focused AI help you improve your work or learn or build your components, your building blocks quickly? Okay, so I know it's a big topic. There's no way I can cover all that, but just consider that's a new thing that's on deck right now, and it's growing and evolving quickly. All right, advanced topics in case you're interested: web accessibility, page performance, security, and as I mentioned earlier, user experience. Those are the things that as you are growing in your web development phase, or even if you go into Windows or embedded development there, or backend database, always consider, performance is important. Security is very important, and don't forget who your users are. All right, that was me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sam.
I'll stop my screen share.
Thank you so much, Mr. Noel.
Yeah. Any, are we going to Q&A now, or
I think
we're
that
gonna
was in the
let Noel
agenda.
talk?
I think that was in the agenda, the Q&A right after the presentation.
All
I
right,
think we're having two stages of Q&A, one for you and then one for Mr.
Cool.
Noel later.
let's
Yep.
do it.
I think
Any
there's
questions?
a couple questions
There were some in the chat.
right now.
Okay, let me find the chat. There we go. All right. Let's see. What was that? Hold on, I lost my chat. There we go. All right, so what's your most challenging experience? I have to think back. I've been through a lot of projects. I think one of the things that stuck with me is trying to debug a problem on something that is very difficult to debug. So you have to be creative on how to make sure that your code is doing what it's supposed to when your system is very restricting. So I had to use, in the product that I was working on, I had to use tones and beeps to figure out whether my code made it to the right section or not. So that was the logic test and code flow, making sure that, I can't breakpoint in my code. If you guys, hopefully some of you guys know what that breakpoint is, but debugging, troubleshooting your code, making sure that it does what you think it does, right? You programmed it, but does it really do what it's supposed to? I think that's something that stuck with me back many years ago, because it's important, and this one specifically was very challenging. There's many challenges, of course, right? This is just something that stuck with me. I like the next question. Yeah, how do you keep motivated? Walk away. Walk away, take a break. You're stuck. You've been at this problem for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours. You know what? You're too close. You walk away, and I guarantee you'll find the solution. As soon as you come back to your desk, as soon as you come back to the computer, look at that code after just a refresh, or maybe even just sleep on it. I bet you'll wake up with a solution. I bet you'll find it when you're brushing your teeth or maybe eating your breakfast. Your brain needs a break. If you're stuck, mental break. That's why it's important to not ignore that. So that's your motivation. You're stuck. You know what? I don't want to beat my head on the desk anymore. Just walk away, do something else. Don't jump on Instagram though, because that's a sink. You lose 2 hours really quick, and it's not really helping your brain to relax. Go do dishes. Go help your parents do something. That's my go-to. Just do something that's mundane, something that doesn't require a lot of brain power, so you can process. Your brain needs time to process, and
Can
then
I
you'll
just
get a
add
solution.
something to that, Sam?
Yeah, go for it.
Sometimes if you can't really fix it, it's okay to time box. Say I'll work on this for another 20, 30 minutes, and you can phone a friend. You can ask because sometimes it's something that you cannot see.
By
There have
yourself.
been
Yeah.
so many times, there have been so many times when the issue is an uppercase letter versus a smaller case, and Java is very finicky with that. It's very picky.
Yes.
So something that you could easily ignore, but someone else would see, hey, you have this lowercase, it needs to be uppercase. So it's okay to phone a friend.
Yep.
Okay.
Set a
Go ahead,
timer,
Sam.
walk away, come back fresh, take a look. Hopefully the compiler messages you're getting using a language with a compiler is a little bit smarter than what Noel and I had to deal with. And it actually gives you a general idea of where the code bug is. But sometimes things are not really compiler issues, and you just need to write things down, figure out like, what are you testing? What are you trying to achieve? Is your code actually doing what it's supposed to, right? So there's multiple levels of troubleshooting, but Noel is correct. Get somebody to walk through it with you if you're really stuck, right? As I mentioned, you're part of a team. Lean on your teammates. You guys learn together. What are some ways to gain experience and make money? I don't know. Those two might not be together there. If you want experience, internship, there's many options out there. I know internships are very few out there, but it's something you should look for. take a look at some of these companies that you're interested in working, or maybe look to your parents' connections and things like that. Another way to get experience, this is a little bit easier, I think, more approachable, is take a look at open source projects out there. I forget what the main website is for open source, but just search for, what field are you interested in? Are you interested in making I don't know, websites that are maybe video games, web games, or maybe mobile apps and things like that? Take a look at what open source projects there are, and maybe it's something that you already use on your phone or on your as part of your schoolwork, and jump in. I think there's really no restrictions into contributing code, or at least seeing what open source code actually has been developed. That's one of the best ways to learn, is to look at other people's code, and hopefully you understand it. Hopefully you have a good documented code. As I mentioned, it's important, right, to learn that. Making money as a high school, or I don't know. I don't think lemonade stands work anymore. I've seen not great news about that, but Mr. Noel, do you have any ideas there for making money as a high schooler in your
If you go
field? I'm
to
assuming, right? As a
yes,
developer.
if you go to Fiverr.com,
Fiverr.
Fiverr.com,
I see.
and try to find some things that you're good at that you can actually do. You can create your own gig, and
Yeah,
people can hire you from Fiverr. If you're good at web design, there are people who hire WordPress developers.
yeah,
So if you're good at WordPress, try to, or if you're just new to WordPress, try to master it, and then put a gig out on Fiverr. Lower your rate for the first few ones, and then increase your rate later
yeah.
as you get more experience.
I will add to that. Just be careful what you're signing up for too, right? Start small projects. Make sure you clearly know what the client is expecting, because that's one of the challenges, to make
Yes,
sure
define
you
the
guys are
scope.
aligned, right, on what to deliver. And when it comes to money, making sure somebody who knows about money is working is helping you with this, because it's going to be, it gets fuzzy, and stuff happens with money. One idea that you can try, maybe less involved, but it can still keep you in your software development field. There's always a need for a software QA to test websites out there. So I think there's I forget what the website's called, but if you search for software QA, not like permanent positions, but there's websites out there that will just hire you for a small test just for a specific page or a specific website, just to get your feedback, user experience testing, things like that. So that way you're exposed to that development and QA feedback, and you're making money, and you're kind of learning about other people's websites. And you know what? If you know how to right click on the website, you can do a view source, or you can do an inspect, right? That's code. You can see how people build things, whether it's good or bad examples. So keep that in mind. So don't forget, your browser has all that code in front of you. You just need to find it. I've actually seen some job applications that were embedded into the source of a page that says, hey, if you're reading this, you need to call us if you want to work for us, right? So that's a cool way for to explore what's under the hood. Let's see, keeping up with improvements in technology. That's tough. There's a lot, and there's a lot of technology, a lot of disciplines, and there's a lot of updates, right? There's millions of people working on this stuff. Sign up for newsletters. Go to these websites where people are posting their questions and answering, and experts are answering questions. So you're going to get more email spam, but at least you'll see, like sourceforge.net, I think, is one of my example, my favorite. They usually send you like a summary of activity, like, hey, somebody's talking about Ruby, somebody's talking about C#, somebody's talking about PHP, and that's one way for you to learn what's new, what are people using, what challenges are they having. Maybe you have an answer, and that would be really cool to help others and learn from others. Let's see. Next one is, how long did it take you to get to the job position you're at now? Let's see. I think it was like 25 years, I guess. It's been my journey, plus that's my professional journey. It's a long time, but consider whether you want to be a manager, right? You don't, there's a technical path as well. You can be a principal engineer, a chief engineer. You can go into research and development, not just product development as well. All of those fields are important. You can go into software test automation. That's equally as important as development of products as well. Maybe you want to, maybe you're not as technically inclined and you want to focus on user experience, and maybe you go into user experience, user design. Maybe you like Photoshop or other tools, and explore that as a front-end developer. Or maybe you want to work with clients and with users, and you're perfectly capable technically, but you work on the business side, working with technical teams and being the bridge between the technical conversations and the user conversation. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of different paths. Like if you want to explore those, just look, ask. You can do Google searches and be like, what are the software development adjacent kind of roles, and what are those responsibilities? Let's see, a couple more
Guys,
questions.
Sorry, quick interruption. I think we're running a
Yeah,
little bit low on
go,
time,
go.
so I think what we're gonna do is kind of have Mr. No present for first, and then
Yes.
like we're gonna go back to questions at the second session, if that's
Do
fine
it.
with you guys.
Perfect. Thank you for jumping in there.
All right, that's great. All right, I'll be giving it to Mr. Nolan, and then stop sharing my screen. Thank you guys for
Sure.
answering the questions in the first section, and I look forward to the second
Okay.
session and Mr. Nolan's presentation.
So let me just go through this quickly then. I think there are some questions that are really good if we can get to them. So I'll share my screen first. Okay. Go back here. Okay. So as a quick introduction, so I've been in software development for 20 plus years. Actually, it's like 25 plus years. Same with Sam. And I started coding when I was in the 5th grade. So I think Sam said around 12 years old. It's probably around that time too. And my current role is with JFJ, it's basically trying to look forward, trying to see where we want to be at, and helping design and implement the roadway on how to get there. And when we're currently in those projects, we need to keep track, monitor, and you've heard Sam say this too, unblocking people. So unblocking people is very important, because if they get stuck on a problem, if they don't have requirements, if they don't have the right resources, then that person can't move forward. So it's very important in our day-to-day activities that we reach out to people. We actually have daily meetings and say, hey, who's blocked here? And it's important to unblock those people so your project can move forward. This is one of the questions. How do you connect your front end with the back end? For Shea Homes, at least for our Shea Homes project, we use a content management system called Kentico, and it's a very robust system. But it's really just using the model view controller. And you can research what model view controller is, but this has been around for quite a while, maybe 20 something years too. And it consists of these 3 parts: the model, the view, and the controller. So model is basically the data that you see on the page. The view is the actual HTML. So basically you plug the data into the view. And the controller is the logic that gets that data, you can massage that data, and then sends it to the view. So you could be getting the data from web services, you could be getting the data from databases, from other third-party sources, and that's how you connect the back end. So your view is the front end, the model and controller, you could say, is the back end piece. And there's a lot of frameworks out there, C#, .NET, with React or Angular that will help you implement this model view controller. And the duties of a backend developer. So the simple way to say it is that you develop the business logic behind the scenes. So it would be using technologies like C Sharp, Java, Python, and you'd be doing web services, controllers, other business layer projects, and even doing JavaScript and React. So in a nutshell, that's what the backend developer does. But Sam also mentioned Scrum and Agile. So this is the coding part of it, the using C Sharp, Java, Python. But behind the scenes, you have meetings, you create stories, you create, like what Sam said, the definition of done. You need to know what you're working on. You need to know how to estimate the documentation things. All of that um, is part of your daily work. Um, these are some of the activities that we do daily and weekly. So we have stand-ups, like 5, 10 minute meetings every day. Sometimes it's longer. Like we have stand-ups with Sam's team that last an hour every day. Um, grooming, sprint planning, sprint retrospectives. So these are ceremonies um, that we perform on a some daily and some weekly basis. And how important is it for the company to have a well-maintained and efficient website? So there's this study for Amazon.com. They said that they could lose 1.6 billion in revenue each year if the website is slow. But for Shea Homes, um, to put dollar amounts on this, 5% of so we sell houses for Shea Homes. It ranges about 500,000 to about 1 million, 1.8 million. So let's just say that the average house that we sell is about 700,000 and we get a net 5% from each house. So for each house that we sell, we get a net of $35,000. And if we sell 2,000 homes per year, that's equivalent to about 70 million in net income per year. So these are estimates or averages. I can't tell you how much it is, but Shea Homes is a multi-billion-dollar company, and we have one of the higher markups. So we have one of the higher net income per household. So it's a lot. So we we get a lot of leads from our website. So I just checked for just for today. The day hasn't ended yet. We got around um, 30. 30 people submitted the forms and were asking for more information. So that does not include people who just visited the site. So these are like the leads that we generated. So if you just close one of those, so that means that's a $35,000 income for us. So how important is it to maintain that website? It's very, very important. We get thousands and thousands of visitors. We get thousands and thousands of visitors each day, and it's important to keep it up all the time. And a well-maintained website means that if you have, let's say, this is an advertised uptime, 99.995% uptime for your server, that still means that you have 4.38 hours that your server could be down per year. So we do implement things like auto healing and auto scaling so that when one of our servers go down, it automatically creates another one to replace it. And when the load becomes too high, we actually increase the number of servers automatically. And to save money, when the demand is low, we scale it back down. So we could have 2 servers, 5 servers during peak times, and then bring it back down to 2 when there's not a lot of activity. So I think that's those are the questions from my part of the presentation. Um, we can go back to answering the questions in the chat, or if you have more questions, other questions for me.
Right, sounds good.
I do want to answer one question from earlier, like keeping up with the technology. So it's very difficult to keep up with technology because there's a lot of them. But you just have to have the continuous learning that Sam is mentioning. You have to do it incrementally. You have to allow um, maybe 5-10 minutes of your time every day, if you can. Just make it a habit and keep learning. I've probably read or listened to audiobooks maybe like more than 100. I'd say I've taken more than 100 courses too on pluralsight.com. So it's a lot, but if you don't do it, other people will, and those people will be taking your spot. So it's very important. Keep learning. Even after college, you just have to keep learning. Let me stop my share there. And
I tried to answer some questions in the chat. Hopefully that makes sense.
okay,
I can do, I guess I can talk to them really quick. One question from Shan, learning frameworks, and that's a big deal, right? Frameworks are by definition huge kind of things that you build your code on. And there's different frameworks, front-end frameworks, back-end frameworks. But look to the documentation, look to the examples, and take a look at the how-to videos from people that have used that. And remember, you can't really be an expert in anything until you really use it to implement components and actually use those components, see how they behave. In terms of, there's another question from Jenny in terms of women and men ratio to men. It's not great. Unfortunately, we have a very guy-dominated development technical team, but I know personally many developers, women developers who are really good at their job, and we had a front-end developer who's really good, and she really pushed the envelope in terms of the evolution of our code and our process. And we had a backend developer, and she was kicking butt in terms of all these things that she could do, and she took on challenges, and it was really awesome to work with both of them. But right now, not so great. But don't let that discourage you, right? It's not about what other companies have as a ratio, but hopefully that improves in the future. And I'm hearing the trends are changing. There was one question that disappeared. Oh, documentation. That's my favorite question. What kind of things do you write about in your documentation? Remember, documentation is kind of different things. In your code, you always have some kind of a comment escape character, right? Noel, so like in C# or C++, there's always like a forward of the slash, right?
Yeah.
/*. PHP has its own. So comments in your code is the most basic form of documentation, and I would say that's the most critical to have. Don't deliver code without with zero comments in your functions. So think of somebody trying to read your code and how much headache they will have trying to figure out if your logic structure makes sense. What are those variable names that you're using? Are you using the ABC, or are you actually trying to name your variables, well, your functions? That's documentation. What you choose to call your functions. Don't call your functions foo, right? Don't call your functions very generic things. They need to make sense in terms of what they do. Okay, and they might get a little bit long in terms of naming conventions. So practice that form of documentation. Function names, variable names, and code code comments as you're describing logic there. Go ahead, Mr. Noel, you have any more to add to the documentation part?
No, I think you covered it. I'm not
There's
very good
more.
at documentation myself.
There's so much more. You can create a
One
word.
one
Go ahead.
one good thing about documentation that we're trying to implement is the first time that you do something, let's say you have a process that um, you want your you want other people to know what this process is. Let's say it's how to check out code, how to create a new branch, how to those how-tos. The first time that you do it, record yourself so that you can pass that on to the next person. We have a repository in our company. We use this thing called Confluence. So we record um, us ourselves doing it, and then we put it out there so that the next person can just look at your video instead of you writing documentation.
Yeah, that's an excellent shortcut to getting things documented. Is just, somebody has to do it. So if you catch them in time and have them record themselves and just talk through it, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? You might have to take a couple of steps again, over again, but at least you don't have to create a giant Word document or slides, whatever, to try to capture all that. By the time you're done, it changes. So you're like, oh, I have to do this all over again. That's the hard part
Yes.
about documentation, is making sure it stays current. How do you set up your programming environment? Ooh, that's a very big one. There's always a process. There's always documentation. Aha, that needs that you follow to set up your programming environment. We call it the local development environment, and that's what you need to start with. So it depends what language you're using, what framework. Are you building on WordPress? Well, WordPress has a lot of cool things that they've released that makes it easy to set up local dev environments. So don't look at the latest and greatest, right? Make sure that the video that you're looking at on YouTube is not like 10 years old or 5 years old, because there's always a better way, and people improve always on how to get things done, how to get set up that local environment. Noel's tips on studying computer science in college.
It's a lot of repetition, I think.
Great
If
thought.
you learn how to do, let's say, recursive functions,
Mm-hmm.
do a few of them. So for programming, if you learn a new language, try to do lots of different um, different functions. Try to do different problems.
Yeah.
Lead Code is a very good website. It will give you problems. It will just exercise your knowledge in JavaScript or Python, and you can do it daily. It gives you problems that you can solve in like 10, 15 minutes per day. So just they call it sharpen the saw. So just yeah, so just daily continuous improvement. Computer science, I think it's just a lot of repetition. Try do it yourself. Get your hands dirty. And
Can you drop a link to that in the chat, Mr. Noel?
sure.
That sounds really awesome.
Uh,
My recommendation from college, I spent, I think I mentioned, I spent working, my time was working and going to college. It was actually, which was pretty cool. It was hectic, and I didn't get to hang around college campus too much. But the cool part of that was to use what you learn at your internship or at your that part-time job, and it was really cool to learn. For me, it was like binary structures. How do I create files that are more optimized and take up less space? So those are cool things. And I was like, oh, whoa, I'm actually using what I'm learning. That's something that's kind of weird. For the first time, you realize that, like, oh, okay, I actually learned and remember something and it's useful. Other things from college experience, sometimes you'll have teachers who are not so good. Unfortunately, that's going to happen. I had a software programming class in college, and the teacher was reading from the book, and it wasn't really useful. It was very tedious to get through that. But as I mentioned, you have to be part of that solution, right? Don't just be, don't just sit there and be like, okay, well, I'll just do what we're doing in class. Take the initiative, learn, read ahead in the book, right? Or you know what, the book is about Java. Maybe the book is 5 years old, whatever. Go online, look for examples. The book says, hey, how to create a string parser function, whatever. If they're still teaching that, go online, look for examples how other people solve that. That website that Mr. Noel mentioned there sounds like a pretty cool challenge if you're up for it. And you know, some things are more challenging than the others, but there's always more than one way to solve a problem. So don't just don't just allow yourself to kind of do what the curriculum is telling you, right? So it's a starting point. If you want to get better at something, you need to take it and expand on it. That needs to be your hobby, at least as for that period, right? You need to go a little bit beyond what's being taught and try to read ahead. I think that's also important. Make the time to read ahead a little bit, because it might not make sense to you as you're reading this new concept of like, what is a recursing function? Why do I, what's a stack, what's a heap? How do I do memory allocation, or how to use this Java library? And then you'll have better questions for the time when you are in class with your instructor, with your professor, or with your teacher's assistants, right? You have your group studies, or you have your teams or your classmates. Ask them as well, like, hey, you have time, a couple of questions there. I think the one thing I found useful was to stay after class. If you can, after your lectures, right? Because in college, you do a lot of lecture time and lab time. Lab time, really, there's a bunch of people in the lab and then nobody really talks to each other. But at lecture time, hang back and see if there's anybody else asking questions that might be something that you might haven't even thought about as a question. And visit your professors, your instructors' office hours. They make themselves available because there's sometimes it's 200 students in a lecture class. So it's, if you think middle school or high school is a lot of kids, a lot of students in the class, it gets much larger from there, and you have to find a way to get through that. Okay, and then those are the opportunities available for you in college. Let's see. Was that it? Did I miss anything? Documentation. Here's. Okay. There was one more question about little to no work experience to have more competitive resume. Well, showcase your projects and maybe even have a link to your projects that are still, maybe hopefully that they're still hosted. So that's your portfolio, right? Showcase what you have done. The important thing, as when I go through resumes and I look for candidates, I look to what have they done, right? It's not just their experience, but there's other ways to show your knowledge. You don't need a science degree to tell me that you know what you're doing. I know plenty of people with degrees who don't really know software engineering concepts, that just do the bare minimum. But show me your work, right? Build that portfolio, build your website. That's your resume. There's plenty of examples out there that you can look for. So use that, right? Show me what you can do. Show me what you have done. One more new question there. Good soft skills. You just hitting my best spot here. Soft skills and hard skills, right? So soft skills is about team, like I mentioned, collaboration and communication. Those are the first things that I look for in the resume. Those are the first things that I check when I'm in an interview with somebody, with a candidate. I talk to them and I let them talk. I want to understand, are they able to explain technical concepts to me? Are they able to explain what they have done in their favorite project, whether it's work experience or whether it's a class project? That's what I'm looking for. Can you explain things to me? Or are you kind of say a little bit, kind of give me the bare minimum answer and then stop talking, right? That's an important soft skill, being able to communicate and being part of a team. And when somebody asks you a question like, hey, do you prefer to be on the project by yourself or on a project with a team? I want you, I want to make sure that you're comfortable being on a team. You should be able to do both, right? You shouldn't be like, you know what, I don't do team. I hate everybody. They're beneath me. I'm the most awesome person and I can get things done much faster than anybody else. Don't be that person, okay? Because a team is important. You never, yes, you might be able to get things done faster by yourself, but it might not have the same result as if you're working with somebody else, or that other person who you could be working for with in the in on that team on that project can help you finish smaller pieces so you don't have to worry about them, right? They support you, and you guys, your team members support each other and you guys succeed together. So don't forget that. So soft skills, team collaboration, communication. You can probably say code documentation too. But consider, take a look at job postings. Go to Google Jobs, search for a software engineer, and take a look at what's on the job posting. What is that team is looking for? That's the best way to understand what is their priority for that company, for that team, for that product that they're working on, with the technology that they're working with. What is important to them? So job postings, not just the one, not just from Amazon.com or Google, whatever your favorite company that you're working with, that you want to work for. Take a look at the examples out there that are posted. Not all of them are very good, but take a look. Those are the best ways to learn what are people looking for, what are companies are looking for on those resumes.
For the soft skills, I just want to add, so you I wouldn't want to work with someone who knows everything but is difficult to work with. So you need to somehow convey that in your resume, that you are willing to learn and that you can work nicely with other people.
Yes.
Because there are people who are really good, but it's just difficult to talk to them. It's just, and you wouldn't, even if you get the job, you might not last in that job. You have to be open. You have to be good with other people, your coworkers. When they need help, you need to be there to support them. And when your boss asks you to do something that you think is beneath you, your boss needs it, still do it. So those soft skills, you need to be easy to work with.
Yeah, I think the technical term, the business term is team player, is what we see on the resumes in that case.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, I had something and it slipped in my mind for, I think it was related to soft skills, but it's hard to, in the interview. I had an interesting interview one time where I was the candidate, and one of the toughest questions that I was asked is describe yourself using 3 words. That's tough. What words in your dictionary, in your knowledge of words, can you use to summarize the person that you are, the unique character, right? Are you dependable? Are you trustworthy? Are you hardworking? Are you an expert, right? Are you a collaborator, right? Those are the words that you need to um, build and figure out who you are, and how can you stand out if you're focusing on your resume. That's the tough part. How do you stand out? How do you align with what that job expectation is looking for? And then there's one more trick, not really trick, it's a tactic, it's a strategy. When you're applying for a job, don't just have one resume. You worked on this resume, you worked with your counselor, you worked with your parents, maybe you showed it to your friends and you're like, cool, I got an awesome resume. I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna send it to 1,000 emails or 1,000 job applications. And then you're barely getting 1 or 2 responses. That's not how it works. A lot of these of these companies, and they have human resources teams and hiring managers, they use filters and they try to figure out, they might get thousands of resumes. They need to understand who's the best candidate based on that paper, based on what you wrote on that, whatever that paper, that email, that Word doc, whatever, right, that Google Doc. You need to find a way to get through that filter. The best way that I recommend is, again, looking at the job description and modify your resume. Assuming you're applying for a job where you're interested and you have semi experience, some semi understanding of knowledge of that discipline or that industry, modify your resume to use the words that they use in their job description. Okay, so if they say we're looking for somebody with experience in PHP, you put in your resume experience PHP, how many years, right? It doesn't matter if you build very basic websites or if you don't think you're an expert in PHP. It doesn't matter if you haven't touched PHP for 7 years or whatever. You have experience in PHP. That's all you need to do. If you want to put how many years, if you're proud of it, you're like, cool, 7+ years, you put that in there, put the plus in there, right? It can help stand out from the person who's reading those resumes and trying to get you to that next level. So strategies, techniques, there's more as you're going into that interviewing and internships and all that. There's different techniques, but I think that's the most powerful that I have learned over my years is just learn how to use the job description and modify your resume for that job. Don't just throw throw the same resume at different jobs. It's not going to stick. I think that's the biggest feedback I can give you.
Thank you guys so much for answering the questions. Unfortunately, we're running a little bit low on time. There was a lot more questions than expected. So, even though we still have a showcase, I understand that maybe you guys you guys might have dinner to eat and like families to talk to. So currently we have if you guys want, we can just kind of end it here, or we can go on with the showcase.
John, sorry. I think we should continue the showcase because the students are expecting you to.
Yeah,
Okay.
they prepared for that as well.
Right, let's do it.
Yeah,
Thank you guys so
time.
much.
Don't worry about
it. Setting the time. Really sorry about that. So we have the website showcase here, and I'm just gonna click on these websites and I kind of go through them. This is David's website here. I think it's kind of a basic website from WordPress. I think he has also another page here, but just in Chinese. And I think that's like a basic overview of it. And let's see, I believe David also made another website recently, since we just started on, sorry about that. We just started on using StackBlitz as one of our HTML and CSS development, because if you haven't noticed, that one was on WordPress. And then recently we've made our own, we've just started our hero page. So David worked on that and that for these 2 weeks. And then that's that. Yeah. So that's like an overview of David's projects from today. And then Edwin also had made.
John, sorry, pause a little bit. Mr. Sam, do you have any opinion or suggestion on David's website?
Yeah, let me see. So the first website, I always recommend if you're going to use images, you use puppies and cats. I think that's a good way to get people's attention. Very neutral too. In terms of the way, I'm going to pick at maybe the user experience here. Just want to make sure that you're using large font. You're getting people's attention. If you want them to click on that subscribe button, you want to make sure that it's in the top right corner. So make sure you kind of use that as a user experience. What do you want the user, your site visitor, what do you want them to take away from this page, right? And where do you want them to go next? I think that's what's the content and what's their next step? Make sure it's clear.
All right, that was some great feedback. Now, on to
I'm sorry. This is Evans, right? Evans, I think you want to present yourself, right, Evans? Do you want to try? Evan, are you still here, Evan?
Evan said no.
Evan say no. Okay.
Evan
All right, John,
wants
take
John
it
to
a
do
little
it.
bit. John, take it a little bit slow, okay, please.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, sorry, Edwin's a little shy, but so yeah, this is Edwin's website. I remember he made this a little bit before Christmas, so yeah, we have this Christmas timer going here. So
Okay.
108 days now, but yeah.
The best
and
holiday. I was trying to figure out what that holiday was. I'm like, it's 108 days. Is it Christmas?
Oh.
Must be his birthday.
The homepage here. Let's see. Oh, I love playing video games. Couple hobbies. Yeah, and then let's go to fun page.
Doesn't like school.
Couple gifs. That's pretty funny.
Right.
Okay.
Lots of memes there. But see, that was clear where I can click to go next. Yeah.
More about me page. Okay.
Good. Little animations there to keep the variety in place. That's good. Looks like that subscribe button. It's kind of generic thing, huh? Okay, I see. I was picking of that. But yeah, navigation, top navigation is important, right? Every website you go to has some form of navigation. Make sure it's clear, like, hey, where can you go next, right? So so that's actually navigation. The homepage, fun, more about me. That's their menu, right? Make sure that's centered. Make sure it's large. Make sure it's distinguished, and make sure it's clear that hey, this is where you click to get to the content that's on this website. Because your homepage, right? You want to make sure that you showcase your main content, and then where do you want them to go? I like the bullet points. I'm a very bullet point kind of the person there because it's easier to consume that information as a more of a summary kind of one-liner. And if you want more details, you can always create a page. I play video games. Okay, cool. You can create it. You can make that into a link and create a detailed page to showcase what kind of video games do you like playing, right? So it doesn't have to be on the homepage. You don't have to put it all in here. You can break that down into smaller pages with more detail if your visitor is interested. So yeah, this is not too bad. This is good. I like the countdown. That's some kind of plugin, I would assume, right? Some JavaScript running there. Cool.
We also have Edwin's second CSS and HTML website that we've started recently, also on Stack. Let's see here.
Noel, what do you think?
We have a quick navigation bar and video embed.
So that's very good.
Let us see the code.
A lot more technical than the other site that you just did in WordPress, and you guys are learning HTML.
Yeah.
Let's look at the code.
The code? All right, great.
Yeah.
Let's look at the code.
Okay.
This for our body.
It's all good.
I think we have a lot of this is for navigation bar and our CSS thing that we did today, which is like just a quick introduction about like transformations, rotations, and hovering animations.
So I can one feedback here. You have a lot of nav class definitions here. I see nav A, nav li. I think there's two nav A definitions. I think I saw another one up top there. There's a hover. So try to take a look at the CSS best practices. I think there's a way to group those styles to make sure they're all together so you don't lose them, right? Otherwise, you're gonna end up creating more and more styles, and then you're like, why is it on this page this nav is green and this page this nav is blue? Like, I gotta figure out where the heck my code is that changes the style. So make sure that you're grouping your common things and using your good consistent naming conventions. So it's easier for you to troubleshoot, right? Somebody asked the question, if I'm struggling with troubleshooting, what do? Well, it starts with a good way to keep your code organized. As you're learning and as you're troubleshooting, you're going to learn how to do that better. But there's also best practices out there that you can look like. What's the best way to CSS format, whatever, right? You can use that as examples.
I think Edwin also has a fun page. What is this link to?
I like fun pages. All right.
Spinning route online. Okay, click to spin. Warning music. All right, that's pretty loud. That's pretty funny.
Not sure if that's considered as fun, but okay. Puppies,
That's
puppies or cats, stick to that. That's my recommendation in terms of fun content. It's very, whoever visits your site, right? If they're a dog or they're either a dog or a cat person. Not sure if there's a lot of Radford people that I know. So unless you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan and you like Splinter and that's your role model.
Yeah, that was a great website from Edwin. We also have one more website from Lillian, I believe. She was unable to make it today due to some scheduling conflicts, but
it is Saturday after all.
Yeah. So
Dog supremacy. All right. Let's go to the homepage first. Let's go back.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So homepage. Not the best content. Okay, let's keep going. What's that? Was that about what we're looking at next? Yeah.
Quick introduction.
This could be a good homepage right here, right? Get to the main content. Like again, bullet points, a little bit of breakdown there. Puppies inside, puppies in clothes, that's even better. I don't know if there was anything better than puppies, but puppies in funny costumes that they hate, I think is that a fish trying to eat the puppy? That's hilarious. Yeah. little kaiju there trying to eat the little puppy. Cool. What about dog supremacy? I'm very interested to see what's on this page. All right. I don't care the structure of this page. This is an A+ for me. Like this is, again, you just throw a bunch of photos in here. Actually, it's really nice organized. It's, you know, you can see it's a kind of a gallery view. It's consistent size. The dimensions are good. The aspect ratio is good. It's tough getting images on the website and making sure that your subject, your content inside images. It's actually one of the things that we struggle with a lot. In terms when it comes to content management, right? You don't have to be a web developer, but when it comes to content, that's a big deal. You can also be a content editor as well. That's a big responsibility as part of user experience and part of the business team, right? You don't always have to be just developing the website code. Dog is better than cat. I agree. I thought that was a link, but that's actually a logic statement there, which truthfully, I agree. I don't know about Mr. Noel. Probably has cats.
Yeah, I'm a dog person too.
Team dog.
I agree. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, let me see the source code. We can't ignore. We can look at puppies all day, but show me the source code.
I believe
it's in WordPress, but I think
WordPress
that's a table, right?
Just
yeah, you can still. Yeah.
Your source.
I'm not sure how to look at WordPress source code because I think it's.
Oh, just right click on the image. You can do right click inspect or just right click anywhere on the page and do view source.
We can do that. Yeah. Let's see here.
You go to elements.
Yeah. Yep. Ooh.
All right.
That's right. That's a lot of WordPress stuff in here. Yeah. I actually recommend, for those who are interested in seeing, like learning from others, use your browser. Go to a website that you're interested in. Go to google.com. Look at it's a basic website, but it's very powerful. Right click, view source, take a look at how they built it. It evolved over time. I know there's like a couple of video games that you can click through and play, but take a look at these pages. If you find the page, they're like, oh, this is a cool page. How do they do this, right? How do they structure their body? How do they structure all these little attributes for each element, HTML element? What does that lang equals English, en mean? Like, why is that important? And you can learn over time all these little rules and all these recommendations of why do I need a div? When would I use a div? Why can't I just create a giant? Why can't I use a span instead of a div? Or I need to create a section or whatever. There's all these crazy elements out there. You're like, when do I need to use this? Why should I use this? The best way to do it is by looking at somebody else's code. That's how you learn. And you can also modify this. Don't forget, you can double click anywhere in here and make a change, remove, add, copy, replace, whatever. You can make changes to other people's websites. It's only on your browser and just refresh and it'll go back to where it was. So don't forget this place here. You can just rename things. Don't put bad things in here, but you're not changing their website, but you're changing. You're experimenting, trying different things. If I delete this div, what happens? If I remove one of these images from the dog gallery there, that 2x3, what happens? How does it break that table, right? Because it's not supposed to be a table. There's a figure. Why is it a figure? What's important about it? All these little attributes and whatnot within it, nested elements and things like that, right? Image. What's up with there's the actual image with attachment and the link, right? There's a lot of noise in here, right? This is not a simple, it looks like a simple page, but there's a lot of activity behind the scenes because WordPress as a platform, I think is what it's considered, puts a lot of it, creates a lot of it for you under the hood. So feel free, delete stuff, see how it changes, experiment. Don't be afraid to try things. I know Mr. Noel and I might, sometimes we just don't know how something will work until we just do it. There's only so much you can read in terms of documentation. You just have to do it and run it and see how it behaves. Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for your feedback, Mr. Well,
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you have any other websites? I think we.
Did Edwin have a second website from Edwin, or did we cover that?
I don't think
think
Lillian has a second one. I think we did go over Edwin's second website though.
Oh, good. Yeah, good job.
Yep. Keep
Everyone.
going, guys.
Thank you so much for your feedback. Does anyone have any more questions for Mr. Noel and Mr. L?
I think everybody's tapped out. It's 8:30
Yeah.
on Saturday. They're like, I gotta get my game time. It's the only time my parents let me play Roblox or Minecraft. My two girls are over there right now playing Minecraft, building stuff. This is their time. Saturday is their day. Besides tomorrow's.
There's
Start
AI now
wrapping up.
that
Yeah.
plays Minecraft.
Cool.
They built, but it's kind of difficult because Minecraft doesn't have a goal like the other games, but they actually built AI to play Minecraft, to explore, to learn things. So if you guys are interested in AI, start
Training.
listening to podcasts.
That's scary. So they're using Minecraft to train artificial intelligence. I don't know.
And it's a AI, like it's not like chess where there's a defined goal,
Rules.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, rules. This one, the AI itself, it's exploring. It's
Interesting.
building houses. It's yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't last long in Minecraft. Many years ago, I fired up Minecraft and I got killed by whatever happened at night. And I'm like, this is okay. Let me try it again. I climbed a tree and I got killed again. I don't know how the hell did they get me in a tree, but I think that was the end of my Minecraft experience.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I have to get back into it.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Definitely, if you guys have more questions, pass it over to your hosts. I will gladly answer them the best I can. If you're interested more about specific frameworks, CSS questions, I would say search for some of those things yourself. Remember, there's always somebody on YouTube creating content and creating how-to videos. Try those. You do need to learn how to search for those answers yourself. And remember, you have people around you can reach out to for additional support and leadership there. So cool. Thanks for putting yourself out there with these projects. I know it's tough to get your work criticized. That's one thing I didn't mention. Be open to constructive criticism. I think Mr. Noel will agree with me. Like there's feedback and then there's constructive criticism, right? Hey, can you help me get better at something? Don't just say my website sucks. That's not helpful, right? Hey, I get it. Okay, this is not great, but how can I improve it, right? So those are and practice that feedback with your friends, with your colleagues, your classmates. I'll leave it there.
Right. I wonder why our officer is not showing their website, huh?
Officers.
I have one website from an officer, I believe, that we can show. I think it's really
Yeah,
good.
why not, huh? We need some
Oh.
criticize too.
Sure. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull it up real quick. I have not visited that website in a bit. Let's see.
Oh no.
Hopefully it's still hosting and
Oh.
not gone because I think they're personally hosting it if not, I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Give me 1 quick second. I gotta.
It's a website in need of love. You just left it behind, and I'm not sure if it's still there. I might have a
I
couple of those
believe
websites. That's
it
a
is
cool
hosted,
background.
though.
That's an
Thank you.
animation back. What the heck? It's a live
This
background.
website.
Yeah.
I think it should be.
Ellie, I need you to show your website to her, please.
Hey,
You hear
all
me?
my websites are deconstructed. I
That's
doing kind of
fine.
deleted a lot of stuff.
No, I know you have a trading website, so show that one, please. I think you need some opinion. Maybe you could get more trader after this.
So this one that we're seeing here is
I think this is one of our officers' website. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it today, but
okay.
so this is one of his websites. Funnily for us about Minecraft because one of like a small project that he worked on, and then it kind of like has like a back end to a server on Minecraft, and then I think that kind of like yeah, it's like a quick like way to for people to apply to his like server kind of vibe, and yeah, it's like a small website, but I think it's pretty. It looks really nice in my opinion.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any feedback?
That's pretty cool effect there. I think what that's, so if you scroll up to that section at the top there, it's called the hero, right? This is your introduction to the page. Those little changes there that you see on that image, we call them micro interactions or micro kind of like little things that can get your attention, right? Like it's not just put your mouse over it and then you get a hover effect or it's a link or it changes color. It gets your attention, right? You want, that's a cool thing. You definitely experiment with this more as you're building your websites, as you're building out your content. You feel like, cool, I got the content that I'm interested in that's important on this page. Now, next challenge is how do you get your visitors to pay attention to where you want them to pay attention? You know, making a button red, putting it top right corner, sure, whatever, they'll see it eventually, but you know, maybe you want to make it a little bit, you know, fuzzy, whatever. I get a little noise there that in the image. That's pretty cool. I think that's probably animated GIF or something like that, right? Maybe animated PNG. But anyway, really cool stuff. Yeah, keep scroll down. Let's see what else is on here. Yeah, maybe one thing that's missing from that hero, Noel, is the indicator that there's something more down below the page, because that's not always obvious. You need a little arrow or something, some kind of animation that's like it's called a chevron, arrow down kind of thing. It's like, hey, there's more stuff here. This is a cool image. Welcome to my page, but scroll down, right? Because sometimes I go to websites, I'm like, where's the rest of it? Like, oh, I have to scroll down. It's like, that's not always obvious. Some people will give up. You have 3 seconds to get people's attention on the website. That's really, everybody has a short patience. Everybody has attention deficit disorder. So gotta help them. Get them to where you want them to pay attention to.
Sure.
Okay.
The fonts are good too, like how it was designed, the layout. I think this might even be responsive if you.
Yeah, you know how to switch to mobile? Push F12 if you're on the, or just right click on it, do inspect.
Inspect?
Yeah, right. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
so
Yeah, so it's responsive.
there you go. You know how to do it. So this is now what mobile browser, a phone would see, for example, right? Or if you're on the iPad or something, then depending how you turn your iPad side, you know, landscape or portrait, right? We spend a lot of time on this and develop, make sure, does your page adjust to the different devices that people use, right? We're not
Like
all
the
just
top
on PCs. Yeah.
The top left drop down where it says dimensions responsive. Try to pick a phone.
One
On the
second.
top
he's,
left.
he's on like big
Top
phone right
left
now.
drop down.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're in the right
Oh,
place.
yeah.
Go, yeah. You see those?
Alright.
Yeah. You pick a
Yeah.
certain device.
Yeah.
So Google
So these are
Chrome does a pretty
emulators.
good job. Gives you some options there. Small phones, big phones. Yep.
So you can see how it would look like on certain devices.
Or I
Because
could-
most websites now are mobile first. So you design them for mobile and then for the desktop.
Yes. Yeah, that's a big thing we didn't cover, right? When you're designing a page, you got to focus on frameworks that give you mobile designs, make it easy for you to have these designs mobile, right? You're not creating a separate website for mobile. It's the same website that it should handle all of your all the possible ways your visitors will get to your website. Mobile, phone, desktop, Apple, Safari, whatever, right? Whatever they have a Mac, they have an iPhone, Samsung, whichever. But I think this one has some integration, that send button down there, it does something. So push the button, okay, and then there's required, there's validation, helps you enter, like tells you what you need to do before you can send it. I like the little icon on the send it. That's really cool. Right, username. I think there's some. Is this gonna send an email? Right, there's some.
Oh, it works.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice. There's
that's so
success.
cool.
There's only one option there. Did you get in? That's it. But there's no like, nope, I didn't get in option there. So. Oh, what's that legal information down there? I wanna know.
Oh.
Oh, whoa, just
Whoa,
expands.
whoa, well, that's a lot.
Cool. That should be a separate page. It kind of expands in the page there. Try not to jam too much content on the same page. Remember, people can only scroll for so much, you know? Too much text. What's it called? TLDR? Too long didn't read kind of thing?
Mhm.
Yeah. Is there like a, yeah, it's all good. That's a mature website, Noel. It's the fact that they have a privacy policy, that's something you don't see. Mr. Isaac. Cool.
Yep.
Download a season. Man.
I think these are like the different Minecraft worlds like they've played on.
Yeah, but it sounds like there's, well, okay. I don't want to dissect this page. Is there anybody else who we want to showcase? Was there one more person? No, everybody's tired. But it's cool. This is the next level website, right? Some websites, something keep in mind, right? Websites exist they have a purpose. It's not just to show fancy content, okay? You are trying, if you are a business owner, let's assume that you guys are all business owners, you're making a website, or you're making a website for somebody, for some business. Your objective, you have to have a goal. What are you trying to get them to do, right? What are you trying to get your visitors to do? Your goal is to convert them to be your customers, to be your paid customers, because that's how you make money, right? One way or the other, as a business, you have to convert your visitors to be your paid customers and buy your product. So that's why I'm talking about content. That's why the layout is important. Visuals, like the little animations there. But in the end, you need to guide them to the steps you want them to take. Subscribe to my newsletter. Go to my shop. Buy this product, right? Guiding them through that decision. They found your website, great, right? That's one of the big challenges, even finding your website. But now that you got them, keep their attention, get them to where you want them to go. And it sounds terrible, like, hey, make them buy stuff, but you're a business. That's your objective, is to have customers, or at least have them sign up to your newsletter, right? To make sure you're staying in touch with those potential customers, and maybe eventually they'll convert, right? Not everybody's going to buy the thing on the first visit. There's a whole thing about marketing, digital marketing, and it's called the funnel of how many people are actually visiting your, well, how many people visit your website versus how many of those people will actually click on a specific button, and how many of those people will actually buy your product. You can have 100 people visit your website, And at the end of that funnel, only one person actually buy the product. If you imagine, it's terrible percentages. Only 1% of your visitors might buy a product, but after 1,000 visitors, 2,000 visitors, right? It adds up. So the numbers sound terrible, but remember, it's over time. You're not gonna, you're a growing business. That's your objective there. So keep that in mind. You need to have a purpose for your website. This is pretty cool. Just make sure, like for the example here, make sure the purpose is clear, without too much scrolling. Make sure it's more obvious there. But it's good. It's like specific blocks here of content, very well organized at least. Yeah, but just guide the visitor a little bit more. That's my feedback here.
Thank you so much for your feedback. Let's see. I think I got a private message from Edwin. Once the meeting ends, watch my video from the CSS website. Play my video, please. Okay, sure. Let's see. Where is Edwin's page? Oh, there's Edwin's. Oh, is it this one?
Oh.
I think he is referring to this one. Okay, sure. I'll play your video, Edwin. How to play beginner chess? All right.
We just got rickrolled. Oh no!
Just got rickrolled by Edwin. Oh no.
That's terrible. We got rickrolled. I've seen worse. Rickroll is actually. How old is that video? Probably 30 years now. It's good to see that's still around. Let's just say.
How many views does it have?
Was.
Oh, it's been pretty recent, 2 years.
Uh-huh.
Oh wow.
It's probably not the original. The roller. You kind of give yourself away as the roller. There's worse videos out there that try to spook you, into getting close, and then was like throw like a rat in your face or something, or a hamster.
For sure. Yeah.
But anyway, we're going off topic here. Constructive criticism.
Well, anyone have any other questions?
All right. I can talk for hours, but try to be, if you guys have another one of these, I don't mind doing this again. Let me know if you have a different group, or if you have different questions, different content you're interested in, like maybe more specifics in software quality assurance. That's a big topic for me. Or with Noel, maybe focusing on some infrastructure, and like you guys talking about hosting building websites, but how are they hosted? What's all this work in the back end that the DevOps team, the infrastructure team works on, and Mr. Noel is one of those critical team members who make sure that everything's running on the back end, make sure the website can function. So can't really ignore all that work that goes into it, right? So lots of building blocks that make sure the websites work. So lots of topics. So don't try to learn it all at once. Focus, identify your focus, and then you will see, you'll hopefully your path is clear, and as you get opportunities to work with technology, you'll know you like it, you don't like it. Cool. All right.
Thank you guys so much for attending today. We really appreciate it. It was a really fun experience overall. Yeah.
Good.
I really appreciate it.
Hopefully you guys remember something, like it's really hard. I know, like, I don't know, it was like I had like 10 slides. How much do you remember? Keywords, concepts, whatever, right? Sleep on it. You might see what you remember tomorrow, but it's your experience. That's the big thing. So, be resilient, don't stop learning. Make sure you're not doing this by yourself. That will help you. That'll help you keep going with you and your partner. You guys can push each other, right? Even if they know less than you, don't think of them that way. Like, I only work with experts. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. You work with whoever wants to work with you, whoever needs the help. Like Mr. Noel said, offer the help. Cool. All right.
Thank you
I'll
so
let
much.
y'all go.
Yes.
Thanks
Thank you, guys.
thanks for the fun experience.
Yes.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the invite.
John, could you